Well, we've got some breaking news, and I thought it was interesting timing because, well, we haven't heard much from Tucker Carlson in the past few weeks. It's been quiet, crickets. We got one video release, and that one video release on Twitter ended up totally dominating the amount of watch time and views that he would normally get on his Fox show. Tens of millions of views of his statement on Twitter. He released that statement a few weeks ago, following his untimely departure from Fox News. And since that has happened, Fox News's ratings have absolutely tanked. It's sort of like their Bud Light moment.
Well, I can give you some numbers.
Please do.
Tucker was in the about 3.5 million viewers in the 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock times schedule. 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Eastern time slot. And that was about 3 times what any other show was averaging on Fox. Since then, they've barely hit the average of about 1.25 million. That time slot has not even hit the average of the rest of the viewership. Now, in contrast, his good evening, I'm doing okay, the mainstream media is lying to you, but it's going to be all right video that he released on April 27th has 81 million people. 81 million people. Well, that's a pretty big difference.
I want to say what Megyn Kelly and Clayton, maybe you can speak to these numbers, but Megyn Kelly was saying the key demo, the money-making demo on Fox, they're only hitting about 180,000 right now. And she said that is that's going to cause bad. A rift at Fox because
it's totally tanked.
Because they're losing to MSNBC even.
The key demographic. Can I
just say our viewers here, a lot of them would watch Tucker. That was really the only show that they would watch on Fox. And so many, I just see the comment after comment after comment from our viewers like, no, I stopped watching Fox. They turned it off, no more after Tucker was fired from there. So they've all left. All of these people are left. They're not turning it on, just leaving it on all day anymore. And so that has absolutely crushed. They're really having a Bud Light moment. So let's get to it. Breaking news just a few minutes ago. Tucker announcing something huge, something big, and a brand new show. Watch this.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often hear people say the news is full of lies. But most of the time, that's not exactly right. Much of what you see on television or read the New York Times is, in fact, true in the literal sense. It could pass one of the media's own fact checks. Lawyers would be willing to sign off on it. In fact, they may have. But that doesn't make it true. It's not true. At the most basic level, the news you consume is a lie of the stealthiest and most insidious kind. Facts have been withheld on purpose, along with proportion and perspective. You are being manipulated. How does that work? Let's see. If I tell you that a man has been unjustly arrested for armed robbery, that is not, strictly speaking, a lie. He may have been framed. At this point, there's been no trial, so no one can really say. But if I don't mention the fact that the same man has been arrested for the same crime 6 times before, am I really informing you? No, I'm not. I'm misleading you. And that's what the news media are doing in every story that matters, every day of the week, every week of the year. What's it like to work in a system like that? After more than 30 years in the middle of it, we could tell you stories. The best you can hope for in the news business at this point is the freedom to tell the fullest truth that you can. But there are always limits. And you know that if you bump up against those limits often enough, you will be fired for it. That's not a guess. It's guaranteed. Every person who works in English language media understands that. The rule of what you can't say defines everything. It's filthy, really, and it's utterly corrupting. You can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now. Twitter has long served as the place where our national conversation incubates and develops. Twitter is not a partisan site. Everybody's allowed here, and we think that's a good thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works, and we're sick of it. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others. See you soon.
There it is. So this morning,
Twitter, you say.
So it's funny because I was texting Tucker this morning, and he said, "Yeah, something big is coming." And he said, "Don't read my text messages." He said,
"We're married. I read your text messages."
Actually, she did hand me the phone. She's like, "Tucker's texting." But no, it was amazing. And I was absolutely thrilled because just been inundated with a pile of shit that he's had to deal with for the past few weeks, right? Absolute, craziness. And when you said, "Yeah, good stuff coming soon, very soon." So I was very excited to see this. He wasn't lying this afternoon.
Soon is a matter of hours.
Soon is a matter of hours. So awesome stuff. It's going to be really interesting. So let's just talk about what this means for independent media.
Well, I have some questions because on Twitter, you still can be deplatformed for misgendering people. On Fox News, Tucker was free to say that Dylan Mulvaney is a biological man and use he, him pronouns. On Twitter, you can't.
And on YouTube as well, you can't say that, right?
Yes, I didn't just now.
What is your proof that you can on Twitter? Because I haven't. I've not had anything.
Proof.
Matt Walsh does every day. I see. I follow a whole slew of people that call out the ridiculous clown show that is Dylan Mulvaney. So I don't know.
I'll have to let me revisit that. I thought that those were
there were definitely some questions as Elon was taking over as to there were certain accounts that were being still shut down, and then some of them reinstated, and I don't know if that was like an AI thing or if it was, who knows? We don't know. We don't know all the imagination.
That's what I was talking about. So when we were during the break, we were talking about Elon was saying there's 22 million lines of code. So there's a lot of remnants of the old guard in there. Yeah. That was AI generated things that go out and find stuff and take it down. So they don't just know that something was taken down. People have to report it. They have to get enough reports to go in and investigate it. Then once they realize that it's happened, they got to go investigate the line of code that caused it. So it's a process, and it's going to be a long time until they can get through all that code in order to get rid of all of that stuff. So they're working diligently on that.
We had a conversation about streaming our show on YouTube, and at the time, was it before Elon Musk had taken over? We were
Twitter or YouTube?
On Twitter. I'm sorry. Okay. I said Twitter, and we were like, oh, I don't know. The rules are even stricter there.
Yeah, they were.
That was your assessment, David, right? And so you don't feel like that any longer?
Nope.
Yeah.
No,
I don't. I feel
stuff that I see posted there now. If you saw the photo that I posted there yesterday, you would know that everything is good there.
The stuff that videos that I'll post or retweet. Awful stuff over there. That's out of what's going on in Ukraine, etc. I don't know.
And think about the videos that we have to take out of our show. We can't show any violence in any video over here, but Eva Bartlett is showing exactly uncensored videos of what's happening over there, and they're not censored at all.
Yeah, and even before Elon took over, Eva was able to post stuff over there. And I have a tweet here from Dino. We were having a discussion earlier because there were some people in the chat that didn't think that there were Nazi death camps in occupied Poland. And I see Dino Caselli is like, yes, Clayton, you're right. Auschwitz is in Poland. Yes, it is. So, you can have these discussions, and I love the sort of real-time feedback right here. But anyway, just because someone in the chat said,
don't go back on this Poland thing.
Jace Ventura says, who cares about Twitter? Who cares about that? And I think it's an important point because about what happens in independent media. I think there's millions of people that care about what a voice who was the only voice on Fox News who was anti-war, anti-imperialism, who could speak out and was then silenced after taking on the likes of Ukraine and BlackRock, et cetera, and then was silenced on that network and now can go to a free speech platform with his intellect and acumen. Yeah. And cover these
Going
stories.
Into an election season. Now he alludes to the fact that when you say things that expose corruption and the fact that the media is a thinly veiled mouthpiece for the government, you eventually will be canceled, implying to us that he was canceled for touching certain nerves that you're not supposed to touch. Of course, we can infer what we think those things were. And everybody's got a theory, anywhere from gender ideology to anti-war, anti-China, anti-financial corruption, media conglomeration, whatever that is. The point is, will those things be, able to be exposed on Twitter? Will they then expose new audiences that wouldn't otherwise watch him on Fox News because they don't want to get a cable box and they don't care about that old media? And then will it sort of, from a selfish perspective, and being a little self-referencing, will it feed into other content like ours that are also willing to challenge a narrative, a mainstream media narrative? And
I saw some people in the chat saying they want to, they're going to invest in Twitter now. Well, sorry, you can't, because Twitter is now a private company owned by Elon Musk. It's still, it's not a public company anymore, unless I'm wrong. Did something happen that I don't know about?
And he even changed the name. Like, it's not Twitter Inc. anymore. It's like X Inc. or something like that. Like, it's a completely different company.
So you can't even invest in it if you wanted to, which is great, because as we pointed out last night on the show about BlackRock and taking a massive ownership stake in Fox News, and then a few days later, Tucker Carlson is fired. Like, do you want that to be a public company at this point?
Yeah.
Do you want a BlackRock to be able to swoop in and buy up as much as you can of it?
Do you think that he's got, I'm sure he does. I guess we're assuming he's got internal support from Twitter.
Oh, I would. Yeah, of course.
Like, paid?
I don't know. Elon Musk was just on his show a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. And, I don't know. Who knows what the details of all of this will be?
Because we know, like he was like, I haven't been answering my phone lately. It's been kind of crazy. But Elon Musk, that call you take.
Oh, of course.
When you get fired, like, you got something
Elon?
To say? I'm listening.
Hi, Elon. What's up?
Well, what'll be interesting, because it's going to be, it'd be a number I didn't recognize. Oh, sorry, ahead. Philip.
No, right. That's okay. So if, I really hope it's successful, because that YouTube sort of their attack on free speech is just because they think that's where the money is. And if Twitter starts making more money than YouTube does based on these shows coming to them because of free speech, YouTube will drop that shit right now. They'll just be like, no, we need to have these voices back because we're losing revenue. Because it's not like they actually care about the ideology. They just care about the dollars.
Hadn't thought of it that way.
And that's what I said earlier. I thought that's what I feel too. Like, this is a good thing for all of us, because once they realize that they're losing revenue and how popular free speech actually is, they're losing a lot to Rumble already. They're going to lose a lot to Twitter. So, hopefully it opens their eyes.
So it'll be interesting because, do people watch Twitter on their Samsung television? There used to be a Twitter app on the Apple TV. You could sit back and watch a show. Now, and they got rid of it. Twitter stopped making the Apple TV app. I don't think they make anything for Samsung televisions or Google Play televisions or whatever the hell they have out there. So where are you going to be able to sit back with your family if you want to sit and actually watch Tucker Carlson? Are you going to pull up a web browser and do it? Or are you just going to watch it on your mobile phone? Will you watch monologues that way? And most of the time I never watched Tucker on Fox. I only ever watched it on YouTube or on Rumble, right? I would get the monologue. I would get his opening, segments. Or if I saw something else that was part of the show that I wanted to watch, I would do it that way. I never put on cable and actually put on Fox News.
No. So
it's going to be interesting to see what dynamic the sort of the viewing habits will be with Twitter. I'm fascinated by the whole thing. I think it's really an interesting move. It kind of reminds me of Howard Stern back in the day going to satellite radio. They're like, you're crazy. No one's going to ever hear you again.
Right.
You're going to satellite radio? Sirius XM? Who's going to pay for a subscription to Sirius? And in the end, millions of people did. But then he's sort of taken out of the conversation because no one really talks about Howard Stern anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They do, because he has now become a liberal mouthpiece for COVIDism and all kinds of stuff. But only in that context.
Yeah. An occasional comment here and there, but most of the time, it's not really.
But it's not like appointment viewing as they used to say.
It's not like it used to be. Yeah, it's not like it used to be.
At least not for me. Now, I do notice he's got a blue check. I wonder if that was gifted to him or if he just
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Paid to move it over. Yeah.
I'm curious, why not Rumble? You know, it's an interesting question, right? Why not Rumble? But hey, I guess in this sort of...
Well,
it
could just have to do with familiarity. You know, I'm sure it could just have something to do with familiarity. Like they already had a presence on Twitter. Tucker already did, so, you know.
Yeah, and he was seeing what was happening with the free speech and the censorship that was being removed from Twitter, the uncovering through the Twitter files and everything else. So anyway, guys, let us know in the chat what you guys think about this. Are you excited about Tucker coming back in some capacity? We'll have to see exactly what it is. But hey, it's good to have another anti-war voice out there. And I can't wait to have him back on the show. So we'll have Tucker back here on Redacted when he launches the new show. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.